Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at a brand new Tier 10 Premium American Destroyer, the Hull. This looks a lot like a Sherman, doesn't it? Well, it's a Sherman with Des Moines guns. What if we did that? What if we put Des Moines guns on a destroyer? It's kind of insane, to be honest with you, and I'm very happy to take a look at it today. First of all, let's talk about how you get this ship. The potential to get this ship is through the Research Bureau. So you need 60,000 research points to get it, meaning it's going to take you a while if you're a newer player. For those of you that have been playing a while, though, you got to regrind a few lines, maybe doing that 2x reset every 3 months or so. And that's how you're going to get this ship. So not the easiest, but also you don't have to gamble on it. I can't believe I have to say this as a positive, but it is a positive of this ship, considering what Inshin looked like, am I right? Oh my goodness. I figured that Wishing Wharf would not be the most player-friendly, but my goodness, potentially needing 350 rolls if you don't have any of those ships to actually get it. That is, well, that's gambling, I would say, unfortunately. But Hull, we don't have to worry about that. So let's talk more about this ship, because I had an absolute blast with this thing. I'm being a little bit slimy here, I know, a little bit of a rat, where I'm blind firing this poor Plymouth in his smoke with Des Moines guns. Yeah, this thing is going to be terrifying to fight, by the way. So let's talk about this DPM specifically. It's not great, honestly. It's only 22nd best HE DPM at tier 10 as far as destroyers go. 148,000, which is not amazing. Something like Shimakaze is 134,000. That doesn't sound very good. But really, it's the rest of the stats that help us out so much. Being Des Moines, 203mm guns. We have the same fire chance as Des Moines. We have the same pen as Des Moines. So we get through battleships very, very easily. As for the AP DPM, it looks a lot better. 10th best at tier 10 here. And we get 259,000 AP DPM with those same Des Moines guns. The shells are slightly different, though, I gotta say. Slightly. The AP has a slight nerf to its alpha damage, but they're actually faster, which is kind of hilarious. So 4,900 alpha damage here on this AP versus the 5,000 on the Des Moines, but the shell velocity is better. It's just better than Des Moines. So out to 14 kilometers, let's say, Des Moines has a flight time on its AP of 9.4 seconds, HE 9.3 seconds. Hull has 8.6 second flight time to 14 kilometers, so it's better shell velocity Des Moines guns. Good luck dealing with this thing, man. Oh my. And honestly, we got to compare it to the Sherman as well, since that ship is very similar. That ship has 9.2 second shell flight time to 14 kilometers with its SAP and HE shells. So yeah, even better shell velocity than the Sherman gets. Oh boy. We have destroyer dispersion as well. No improved dispersion like we see on, say, Elbing or Ragnar, but just standard standard destroyer dispersion, which means it is better than Des Moines dispersion as well. Absolutely wild stuff. This AP does retain the same ricochet angles as well. Slightly reduced pen is the other thing. So slightly lower alpha damage on that AP, but slightly reduced pen. At 14 kilometers, it's 194mm of pen on the AP, where Des Moines gets 213. So very slight pen difference there. You still have more than enough to absolutely crush light cruisers. And oh boy, did I. This thing is awesome into any sort of ship that's broadside, but especially those light cruisers. It's absolutely amazing. That HE with the same alpha damage, better shell flight time, same pen of 34mm, same fire chance of 14%. So we're going to get a lot of juicy fires on these battleships. This ship is well equipped to deal with anyone, bow in, kiting, or if they're broadside especially. Even if they're not all that broadside, I still found myself getting incredible damage with this armor piercing. It's a small destroyer, so you're able to cut up the flank like this, unlike a Des Moines would be able to these days. Des Moines just, well, it would get focused down by a Colombo, let's be honest, in this game. This is a bit like you can take Des Moines light DPM. It's not full Des Moines DPM. It's like you can take Des Moines light on a flank without having to worry about a citadel. You don't gotta worry about Colombo sap pens, and you can just run it at the enemy team or farm the enemy team as they're pushing you. I did a little bit of limit testing, not enough to be honest with you, but this ship is shockingly tanky. I think this is going to be one of the most difficult DDs to kill when played right. But first, a Malta broadside. We swap to that AP right away. Oh yes. And this ship, you notice, does not have a smoke. So we actually have a ton of spotting damage in this game as well. That's one of the interesting features here about these smokeless destroyers. You're forced to give a lot of utility to your team in spotting. And just, oh, doesn't that feel good? That feels so good. You so rarely get to go after these carriers. They focus you down. There's nothing you can do. But that 1 in 20 game where you get to sneak up on the carrier and take him out like that feels so good. 16 citadels into this game already. Yes, it's so much fun. I had a blast playing this ship. I really did. I lost track of time actually while recording for this video. I'm a little bit later than I usually am as far as making these videos. It's getting a little late in the day. But that's because I had so much fun playing this thing. You know me, I loved the Sherman. I'm a huge fan of these gunboat destroyers, and I think this ship is just better because we have to talk about these consumables. You may have noticed already, but we have a heal. And not just any heal, we have a super heal. Yes, we have 3 super heals that heal 20% of our HP. Our HP pool is also pretty monstrous, meaning this ship is one of the tankiest destroyers in the game. As we can see here in this game, they didn't really stand too much of a chance on this flank. It's going to be very, very tricky to deal with a hull on your flank. You really will have to focus it down. I even played rather poorly in a lot of these games and still got a bit punished, but the heal kept me in it. So with 29,850 HP to start with, we are very healthy. But if we get ourselves Superintendent, which I wasn't always running, I mostly ran a max DPM build, which gave up Superintendent. But if we take Superintendent for 4 heals, that gives us a total potential HP pool in a match of 58,490 HP. On a destroyer with the Moines guns. No Citadel to worry about, no sap pens to worry about. Here we are trying to annoy and farm down a Petro early game, which is often a terrible idea if you're playing destroyers. Petro has incredible shell velocity as well as that radar that we would have to worry about, but good accuracy at close range, amazing shell velocity. And yet, we don't really care all that much because of this healing. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes in this video as well that I want to show you guys just to really reinforce how much healing this ship has, how poorly you can play in it and still get away without too much trouble. Of course, if there's a Minotaur in your game, well, you're going to swap to that armor piercing, improved pen angles at these ranges, and yes, we can even Citadel him there. He goes dark, so a little blind fire, but we don't get a whole lot extra. He'll be back though, don't you worry. We also get a defensive fire here. If you're playing on a flank on your own like this, in this case, it is one of the hybrid ships, but if there's carriers in your game, you will be the focused target, right? That's just how it works when you play on your own. Carriers can't deal with clumped up ships. That's the strategy. That's like your only gameplay element that you have to counter carriers is to clump up as a team. If you go out on your own, you're just asking to get struck over and over again. So with Hull, we have some okay AA. I wouldn't call it amazing, but thanks to only being able to slot defensive fire, no hydro here, which can be a problem. In the future, we'll look at that too. Defensive fire allows us to shoot down the majority of planes, especially when it's a particularly dangerous squadron of planes coming after us. Maybe that's dive bombers, maybe that's rocket planes, if we can't avoid them all that easily. Defire helps us out a bit, but it's still not enough to fully deal with carrier focus. So you can't always play on your own like this, but it helps you get away with it a little bit more often, I guess we'll say. Minotaur going broadside again, and here we want to see those citadels. Unfortunately, I'm not quite leading enough initially there. And you're going to notice throughout these games, I'm not going to bring it up all the time, but I just want you to notice throughout these games how many overpens we're actually getting with these guns. I'm in a bit of a destroyer mindset where I think about using this AP to hit the bow of battleships or the stern, areas that are unsaturated, because destroyer AP doesn't really overpen battleships or cruisers like that. But thanks to having Des Moines guns, we certainly can, so we have to worry about that a little bit more. You're also going to notice that even though we have DD dispersion, 3 single turrets can feel a little bit awkward at times as far as your dispersion goes, where It seems like you should be hitting, but then your shells just happen to splash all around the target. It's a little bit unfortunate, but given how many shells we can fire, it's not a huge deal. Just make sure you're on point with your aim as much as you possibly can. Into a gearing here, we have, well, not a very fair fight. Let's be honest here. Yes, he will be outspotting us. I haven't mentioned that, but our detection is not great. But in a gunfight, what do you do as a gearing? This guy's got 5k more base HP than you have, and plenty of healing and better guns. Oh man, the difference 10 years can make in a ship's release cycle, I suppose, unfortunately. I should also mention this speed boost here we have is an improved speed boost as well. It's not a standard 8%, it's a 15% engine boost that can last 120 seconds, which is nice. So if we're going to take something like the speed boost mod, which I was here, this lasts a very long time and gives us some very nice maneuverability. You'll notice it's almost flipped consumables from a Sherman. Sherman gets smokes and hydros, but no heal and no speed boost, making it hard to play open water. Where Hull gets a super heal and an engine boost, meaning it's much easier to play this one open water, but you can't smoke up and farm. So if you've been looking for the opportunity to play your Sherman in a little bit more open water scenarios, or more specifically in games where the spotting isn't the best, notice those overpens on the bow like that. I had to learn not to necessarily go for that all the time. You will like this ship a lot though, if you want to play that open water role, especially those games where you're not getting all that spotting very often, where you can't just smoke up and farm because everybody goes undetected. I had a lot of fun with this ship because of that, and I provided a lot of utility to my teammates, just given the sheer amount of spotting we can provide. Again, pushing up the flank here, obviously the ship is going to be even more powerful when you're in a kiting position. If you're getting away or kiting away from the enemy team, their strong flank, it's going to be even better, of course. But we can even push into some of these flanks and do okay. As long as we get around the right islands, isolate fights as much as we can do all right. And on to our next game here. Notice how little ships we have here in the north. We have a Druid helping us out, which is a lot of DD firepower, to be honest with you. But we just have an Inchin and a Yamato here as support. And the enemy team is going to bring in quite a few ships. And we're going to get an absolute ton of potential damage because I'm trying to see what I can get away with here. Can I just start open water gunboating this Stalingrad? There's a Montana here. There's soon to be a Goliath. I think we're going to get another Monty here as well. Maybe there's a Louisiana on his way too with planes. We're going to see what we can get away with in this ship. If you just don't stop firing, you're going to get a ton of damage. And with that excessive amount of healing, it's really not too difficult to stay firing most of this game. Of course, though, this is a very, very selfish playstyle. You do need to be helping on those DD engagements when you can with your firepower, but it's very selfish to play like this purely for your own damage, and that's what Hull is going to be best at. It doesn't bring a lot of utility, it brings insane firepower along with surprising levels of tankiness. This concealment is the exact same as Sherman, so if you're used to that, how you build that Sherman, you'll probably feel relatively comfortable here with the hull. The speed's the same, rudder shifts, acceleration, all that stuff feels the exact same. I found it much more comfortable to play because I prefer this more open play style with an engine boost, with especially a heal. You guys know how much I love having healing, letting me play so aggressively, maybe make some mistakes, maybe take damage I shouldn't have, but still come back from it. Allowing me to play more aggressive means I'm probably going to have much more fun. So Hull for me is an absolute blast, and for 60,000 research points, it's going to take you a while, like I said, to grind it out for newer players, but for myself, I'm going to try and get this thing as soon as I can. It should be going up with the new update 14.1 in a few days here, so you'll be able to get your hands on it there. Goliath has some pretty powerful guns, and perhaps if you have a little more situational awareness than I did while playing this one, you'll notice where we are. In front of a Stalingrad and a Goliath. Maybe not the best idea to ground in front of those ships, eh? But we have a super heal and the last little bit of our engine boost. 15% is a lot. Sherman is very sluggish, and as a result, Hull is very sluggish to maneuver as far as getting around and dodging salvos. But with this 15% engine boost, we're actually able to, well, ground and then reverse in time to dodge the Goliath shells. Goliath has some pretty slow shell velocity, fair enough. But we were able to dodge that, which is kind of surprising. We're up to 50,000 damage, not insane numbers. In fact, probably not my best aim in this one, certainly. But we're also up to 41,000 spotting damage and 1 million potential damage. That's a lot of incoming fire that has not been directed at my teammates, as well as extra spotting that's allowed my teammates to get more damage here. Perhaps that's the utility we provide. We are a bit of a shoot me kind of ship instead of our teammates trying to bait them into firing at us and wasting salvos on us, perhaps, is one way to look at it. It's a dangerous way to play, obviously, but can work out and is quite a lot of fun. I do wish I had played a little bit more on the flank in this one instead of coming back to where we were here. Getting the Stalingrad broadside here would have been just glorious. I found the better damage games that I had were often as a result of finding more broadsides. That probably shouldn't be all that surprising considering how powerful the AP is here, but still, it is worth mentioning that you do want to be ideally finding those broadside shots rather than just spamming HE into bow on ships. Or you can do like we're about to here, where we start with the HE on the Montana until we light some fires, and then we can swap over to that armor piercing. Of course, with that 14% base fire chance, we're going to light a lot of fires rather quickly. Maybe not as quick as some of the other ships in this game as far as destroyers go. Like fires per minute wise, we're pretty middle of the road, 16th best at tier 10. So we're not the best fire spammer, but we do a pretty good job still. And with that, we can swap over to the AP. He's damage controlled at this point, and we get much more alpha damage out of it. Now that he's probably out of his damage control and angling, we can go back to that high explosive. We're noticing also some torpedoes coming in for us. No hydro is a massive weakness here. You will have to worry about those torpedoes coming in and ruining your day. It was already a bit of a problem with the Sherman, but at least there you had the hydro. It wasn't up all the time, but at least you had it, right? Here, though, we have no such consumable helping us out. What is that dispersion, by the way? I know, I'm not going to bring it up all the time, but some of those are just hilarious watching this back. Pretty hard to aim incorrectly there for a not maneuvering Monty there, but hey, that is what happens sometimes, I suppose. We get both our rudder and our engine knocked out there right as everybody's shooting us, so we instantly damage control that. And I noticed that quite a bit throughout playing this ship. The modules die very quickly, so the HP here on our engine, our rudder, is quite low. I am taking preventive maintenance, although perhaps given that I'm running the speed boost upgrade module, we're not getting that preventative maintenance upgrade to our engine and our rudder. Maybe that contributes to it too. But I really like having this extra engine boost time. It was really, really convenient in a lot of these games. Not only to get around the map quicker, sometimes with Sherman, one of my criticisms of that ship, if you remember, when we were comparing it to Marceau, they're kind of opposites in that Sherman rewards you for positioning well because it's so slow. It's easy to aim those guns because the shell velocity is so good, but you have to be really aware of your positioning because you're so slow to reposition. Whereas Marceau is a bit of the opposite. You're so fast, you're not as punished for not positioning well, but you need to worry about your aim much more with that one. And I think with Hull, given that we have better shell velocity than the Sherman, and we also have an engine boost, yes, we're combining a bit of both of those worlds. We're certainly not as fast as a Marceau, but over 40 knots here with this engine boost up, it feels pretty good. 60k spotting in this one as well, by the way. Just want to point that out again. Lots of spotting damage that we can do since we're not playing in these smokes. That is a massive, massive benefit to this ship that will help you win games. Even if we're not hydroing caps or directly going after destroyers, at least not with this build. I don't think I would want to build it for full concealment, by the way, and then go after destroyers. Maybe I could. Maybe I'll try that out in the future. But for the most part, I would rather play this second line role like we're doing right now. The Shimakaze going in front of us, and we're going in directly behind him as the muscle, right? That's going to be an excellent role for the hull. You can't always do that. That's not always going to be the matchmaker you get. But when it happens, or if you run it in a div, this thing will be absolutely monstrous. Because what's going to win against a Des Moines with this concealment and Des Moines guns this close range? Maybe there's a couple DDs that could do it okay. But as soon as you start kiting, this shell velocity comes into play, and you're going to be winning a lot of those trades. Over 2 million potential damage in that one. Absolutely incredible. Now we got to talk about a few more mistakes, shall we, as we get through these last few clips. Yes, I played a lot of games with this one. I probably played 3 or 4 more than I otherwise would have normally played for one of these first impressions videos, just because I was having a blast. And we make a massive mistake. We get caught turning broadside. We take 8,000 damage from the main there, plus some Los Andes secondaries coming in. But look at that super heal. This wouldn't be quite game ending for a Sherman, but you'd have to play much more passively, and we certainly would not be opening up on the Los Andes at this point. We'd be trying to go dark and trying to limit the amount of HP that we lost. Yet here with the hull, yeah, it's no big deal. Man, I'm gonna be so sad when I'm fighting one of these things and I finally get a good hit in it after it's been farming me for 5 minutes, and then it just super heals all that HP back. Oh, Wargaming, what have you done? What have you done here? It's first impressions, obviously. I do need to play this ship some more to get some real concrete opinions on it, but initial impressions are this ship is just crazy. I'm shocked that it is released in the state that it is. Even if they had given it Des Moines guns with Des Moines shell velocity, it still would have been insane, but it gets improved shell velocity over the Des Moines. It also, even if it got a heal, like a standard destroyer heal, it would still be crazy. But they gave it a super heal. It's a lot. I mean, we could say the same thing about this engine boost. Why isn't it just an 8% engine boost? It's a 15% one. I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm more comfortable with these more open water DDs. By the way, look at how much damage I took here early game. Lots of damage to be eating before we've done really any damage at all in this match. But hey, we're still able to heal back from it quite a lot. Holland opens up on us, and notice the difference in our arcs, by the way. It's almost comical. Like, it's half the shell flight time. Absolutely insane. And of course, more alpha damage here as well, and better fire chance too. My aim could use some work, obviously, but it's a lot of damage in on this guy. Dealing with a G-Nan in smoke, doing a little bit of blind firing. It's so annoying when you're that smoked up player. It's so frustrating. And now with the hull having that ability to blind fire you so quickly with Des Moines AP, oh, that's going to be so frustrating to deal with. This is going to be one of those destroyers that's super frustrating to fight against, but very fun to play, I gotta say. GK, I think, has burnt his damage control at this point. So he's on a lot of HP, but now he's on a triple fire. I think I have 2 of those, and the Zhao has the other one here, by the way. We're going to swap over to the AP, of course, now that we have those fires. Always a great farming tactic. And even at these ranges, we're going to get some excellent damage in with this armor piercing into his superstructure. We're still getting some of those overpens, though. I got to remember that it's Des Moines guns, not DD guns. And so because of that, we will see some of those overpens through his superstructure. And we would be able to pen his upper belt at these ranges, funnily enough. It's going to take me a little bit of time to recalibrate and remember that we are basically playing a Des Moines here when it comes to this armor piercing. Just barely dodging that torpedo from the Holland. It's going to be scary. Open water gunboating like this, you become very predictable, especially if you're not maneuvering like I was there. Holland torpedoes are very fast, so dealing with those, it's going to be scary. I expect to take plenty of torpedoes while playing this thing. I didn't eat too many while playing it so far, but I expect that number to rapidly increase as I play this ship more. And, I mean, poor G-Nan. G-Nan got a buff recently, and I thought that ship was insane, but, I mean, these light cruisers, what do you do? Like, it's another Elbing, except this time it's American with a heal. There's a Colbert, and we're not even going to shoot at him yet. We're going to wait for him to commit, this poor guy. He's in the crossfire between a Yamato, and there's also a Hoffman, who I think is a little bit low in this one, but could also smoke up. We're doing the spotting here, right? So we can do this spotting roll, no problem. In fact, he does smoke up, and now here comes his armor piercing, I believe. It's a tough spot for a Colbert to put into here, certainly. There's really no right way to go, considering what he's dealing with. Hoffman AP is quite strong as well, and of course, we know what Yamato is capable of too. Still not going to fire, though. We're on low enough HP, and I am out of super heals in this one, thanks to my careless gameplay at the start of this match. So I'm going to wait until he commits or gives enough broadside. And this is enough, because, again, Des Moines AP pen angles. Poor guy, man. Poor guy. There's a Trump to worry about, too, here. And we're going to take some pain in return. You can see why I was cautious. Colbert has a ton of DPM that we don't necessarily want to deal with. Trump also gets some larger caliber guns, 150s, right? And also has decent shell velocity. But he's got to give so much broadside to actually fire all of his guns. Whereas the hull has incredible turret angles. I believe it's 28-degree turret angles. Yes, to shoot all of your guns. And forwards, you even get 2 of your guns at 22 or 22 degrees. Yeah. It's pretty nice. It's very nice. Actually, how does that compare to Sherman? A little worse than Sherman, actually. Sherman gets 26 forward, although 30 backwards. So we're better kiting than the Sherman is, even. I'm going to miss quite a few salvos here again, but we're on such low HP. I'm a little more focused in on my avoiding incoming fire here from this Holland, and maybe I could have killed him a little faster if I was doing a little better job of my aim. But still, we want to try and survive this. This game has really come down to the wire. Always love these close matches here. And now that we're ahead on ships, we were very much behind throughout this game. There's a chance we can bring this one back. Although, if things stay as they are, the enemy team will win on points. So, we need to either kill this sub or get into the sea cap. And I'm going to try and deal with this submarine. And we're going to die. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it yet, but good luck against submarines while playing this ship, man. Good luck. You don't have a hydro. You're not the best maneuvering ship. It's going to be difficult. That will be very, very difficult to counter that class. And carriers too, but you do have a little bit of D-Fire to deal with them. Every surface ship, though, it's going to be a blast to fight, for the most part, when you're in this ship. Maybe not for the guy on the receiving end, though. So, getting back into port now, got to show you guys the builds. But I have tried to present this ship to you guys without giving away how I feel exactly about it. Yes, I had fun. I tried to mention that as much as I could. I had a blast playing it. But that's partially because I think this ship is just overpowered. I really do believe that. This ship is... It's way overtuned. Sherman is already amazing. Maybe even too good. And this is just better. In my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking with this one. Really, it's just a lot. It's too much, in my opinion. Super heal? Improved speed boost? Des Moines guns with better shell velocity? Okay, 2025 World of Warships. Buckle up, everyone. Buckle up. Obviously, we're running preventive maintenance, last stand, survivability expert, trying to stay alive. But then going for DPM and range. So range on our commander build here, so we can run DPM on the upgrades. Fearless Brawler, excellent, because we're often going to be spotted, such as essentially free 10% DPM. I swapped to main batter and AA specialist. This was the original build I was running, and the one you saw in most of these games. For the last match that I played, I think I swapped to a superintendent build. It was nice in matches, I think, that go the distance. Maybe in that last game I showed you, had I run Superintendent, or more realistically, just not eaten so much damage to begin with, maybe we could have clutched that game out, but we did end up losing that one. So Superintendent's nice for those longer duration games. Again, nearly 60k total HP if you use all 4 of these heals and all of your HP. But full DPM is pretty fun. Notice we're giving up concealment. We still have 7.2 detect, which is great, by the way. Playing Regulo recently, we got to go a lot more into our concealment upgrades to get close to that. So here, running concealment, but then going for main battery mod 3. Propulsion mod here, we are very slow when we don't have this engine boost up. So I still want prop mod. You can get torped, and you won't always have that engine boost to help you out. So trying to run prop mod there. That was with aiming systems. We still had that bit of wonky dispersion at times. Engine room protection, always recommended unless you can run engine boost mod. And even still, I might recommend you go with engine room protection. 2 minutes speed boost is still great, even without engine boost mod. And this would give us more tanky modules, allowing our engine and rudder to get knocked out a little bit less frequently. Still going main armaments mod 1 though. Pretty standard stuff. No special armor here on this ship, by the way, so HE will be penning you everywhere. So there's no special armor like we would see on like Kaba or Elbing, for example, also has some extra armor in the middle. Even Gearing has like a 21 mil plate, so we don't have that here. Tons of HP, tons of damage. It's Des Moines guns, so somehow they fit on a little destroyer like this. The torpedoes are still those weird single-launched ones off the side of your ship here. So not the most useful, but every once in a while you might land a torpedo. I didn't happen to do it in this game or in the games that I did play. 6.9 AA defense range, pretty nice. Combine that with your D-fire and you can sometimes ward away the carrier, which is nice for a ship without a smoke at all that wants to play on the flank and really try and almost play solo on a flank where you're the only one getting those broadsides. They're angling to your teammates and you suddenly pop up on their broadside and smash them for a ton of damage. So decent detect here. If we were to run more concealment, we can even get down to 6.5 kilometer detect, which is pretty good. And if you actually run one of these special commanders for the survivability expert skill, you get over 30k HP, which then stacks into your healing as well. But I was trying to make Halsey work. I did not get the Confed proc, but it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time, and then I'll show you guys that game. Confed with this? Oh, I'm so excited. What I'm not excited about is to be fighting this ship, because it is going to be so hard to deal with. How do you deal with a ship with Des Moines guns, with this concealment, and this amount of healing? I guess we'll have to figure it out together as this ship gets released, and we all have to learn to fight against it. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.